by the end of today's video, I hope to have the engine and transmission right where I'm standing currently, which is in the engine bay of the V70R. If you're new here, I'm currently in the process of doing a manual swap to this car because this car was automatic when I bought it for $1,500. We've done a ton of work to this car, everything from all of the basic maintenance like a PCV system up to subframe overhaul, exhaust, new suspension, the whole 9 yards, and it's been such a fun build, but the whole time the automatic transmission I think has been the biggest letdown, and so that's what I'm in the process of fixing. In the last video, we overhauled everything that was wrong with the engine that I pulled out because while it was out of the car, it was a great time to knock out some maintenance. Today, what I want to do is convert everything on the chassis side of the car to a manual car. So right here, we still have an automatic shifter cable. We need to convert this to manual shifter cables. We need to put the actual shifter in the center console. We need to install a third pedal for the clutch. We need to add the clutch master cylinder, a clutch fluid line. We need a new motor mount. We need to rebuild the drive shaft. Basically just everything that the chassis needs to be ready for that engine and transmission to go in. So it's going to be a big day of work, and by the end, I hope to have the engine and transmission in the car and maybe start this thing. Cut to the cool intro montage music now. We're figuring this out together because I've never messed with one of these. And something that caught me off guard is under here it looks like a bomb, but it's an airbag sensor. Tilting of a connector unit can lead to deployment of the airbags. Oh my God. Is that it? Yes. It has to get worse before it can get better, so I'm removing the entire seat to have more room to work on the clutch pedal. Because of the way car manufacturing works, a company like Volvo only wants to produce one chassis. So whether it's an automatic or a manual car, the chassis is the same, and they essentially just block off the mounting locations and the ports that are needed for a manual car on an automatic chassis like this. Two interesting examples are the cover that you just saw me unscrew inside the car. That's that thing right there. That's where our clutch master cylinder is going to sit. And then in the last video, you guys pointed out I do not need to swap the brake reservoir at all because right here is the tab that I just apparently need to cut off. And then we have a line that will feed our clutch fluid system with brake fluid. Basically, all the mounting points and all of the connections are there for the manual car. They're just blocked off when they configure it as an automatic, which is super interesting to me. What I'm doing here might not look like much. The bolts that I'm tightening right now are to the upper portion of the pedal box and getting them seated, getting the pedals positioned correctly. All of it took a short eternity, it felt like. This might have been the hardest part of the entire project. This is how I spent like 2 hours yesterday and 2 hours today. This doohickey right here is the master cylinder for the clutch. And now we gotta figure out how to get this tucked away. Where is it? In there. Still got to fix this drive shaft here. This right here is the collar sleeve. The teeth do not look good. There's a little notch in those teeth. They should be nice and sharp. The collar sleeve is what links the front differential to the gearbox. So basically it's responsible for sending power to the rear, and it's specifically designed by Volvo to be the weakest link in the all-wheel drive system, so that if you launch the car hard and you break something, it's gonna be that part, and that part is easily replaceable. It's actually really difficult to do. I'm gonna try and get it out with some vice grips. And of course, starting the day off with another box from FCP, but this right here is what I need. Once I attempt this vice grip thing here, there is no going back because it's gonna permanently damage the teeth. So here we go. Oh, what the, are you kidding me? I've never, ever heard of one that came out that easily. Let's go. This is like commonly debated as the most difficult thing in the world to do on a Volvo. And it just came out like that. Here you can very clearly see where the teeth are notched. Every single tooth has a small chunk taken out of it. If we look at the new one, the teeth are nice and sharp, especially compared to these. This was on the verge of letting go, and this is going to be ready for some sick all-wheel drive drifts in the snow. People were asking how I organize my bolts, and this is kind of how it started. Nicely labeled in cardboard, all organized, and then this is how it kind of ended up. As far as I can tell, it's ready for this thing to go back in, so I'm lifting it very high up. Give me a shout if it's gonna smack.
It's gonna smack that fuses box.
Oh, that's okay. Woo. That's a sketchy sound. This bracket has to go on.
You need a hand?
No, I think I got it. Yes!
Nice.
Yes! Look at that.
I got it.
Stop. Yeah, that's good. Now loosen the valve again.
Okay, loosening, and 3, 2, 1.
Yes, sir!
You got
there
it?
It is.
There we go.
Let's go. So although it looks pretty complete now, the majority of the work is going to be dealing with all of this. Everything here needs to find a home, including the entire turbo that still needs to sit back there. But I'm going to chip away at this and get it knocked out. These are all of the parts that are left to go back on the car before we can do a first start. We've got everything from the downpipe angle gear, radiator axles, to all of the new fluids. I'll talk about those in a second. The intercooler piping, that might look familiar from a previous episode. And then just some basic things, radiator fan, new radiator hoses, covers, air filter, all that good stuff. It looks like a lot, but I don't think it'll be too much longer before we're starting this thing. With that being said, I have one more really exciting project that I want to share in this video. Wow, that just looks incredible. Here it is. This is now an HID bulb and projector in the original Volvo housings, which is incredible because it looks super OEM. I think this looks like it could have come from the factory. The reason I'm installing these is because the headlights on this stock car just absolutely suck. It's a known fact. The European markets got different headlights with real high beams, but in the US, the lighting regulations are incredibly strict, and for that reason, almost every European car that we get over here has some kind of inferior light, and this is going to take care of that issue. There's the other one. That just looks incredible. Now that I've gotten these wires torn down, you can see the real tragedy here. They are so brittle. Almost all the copper is exposed, which is extremely dangerous. It's time to see if this thing will still start. I don't know what to say. I'm actually really nervous. And for now, I've got the injectors disconnected and this cam sensor up here so that we can crank the car, if it even wants to crank, and build some oil pressure, because the engine has been sitting, draining of all its oil, and especially this new turbo line, where is it? That new turbo line that we put in has to fill up with oil, make it to the turbo before we start the car, because the last thing I need is for this turbocharger to grenade on startup after all this work. So we can get rid of this now. Press the brake pedal, probably. The clutch pedal isn't wired in yet, so. Okay. Transmission service required. That could be a problem. We've got a total of 6 warning lights. We've got driver door open, tailgate open, reduced engine performance, anti-skid service required, transmission service required, and time for regular service. But it does crank. And to be fair, I think a couple of those might be caused by the fact that I unplugged the cam sensor, and all of these injectors. Now with all of those plugged back in, let's give it another go. This time, it should hopefully fire up, so. No start. Interesting. Toshiba to the rescue. RPM sensor. Signal missing. I think that is the most important one right now. And now that I'm thinking about it, is that plugged in? I don't think it is. Okay, I can feel that the crank sensor is not plugged in, so that's definitely gonna cause a no start. Come on. Yes! That is like a textbook way to make your car not start, is have the crank sensor unplugged. So that was very possibly our issue. With that being said, let's give it another shot. Here we go. Let's go! Let's go! We did it! I don't know what to say. I can't believe it started just like that. Some initial notes: the single mass flywheel did not chatter at all, which is something that I thought was kind of a big deal. I don't hear any noise from it. It's perfectly silent. The car sounds incredibly healthy. The only thing I will say is that the idle was not 2,000 RPM on cold start, it was 1,000 RPM. I'd imagine that might have something to do with the tune. This is absolutely incredible. The car runs, it sounds healthy. Like there's no ticks, no nothing. In the next video, we're gonna make this thing look incredible. BC Racing coilovers, new shifter cables, new headlights from HID projectors, and we're gonna bang some gears and drive this thing hopefully in the next video. So please subscribe if you're not already. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.